To us about a Wild Choice, a pop-up food museum. So hi, Robin.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we hear you. Robin is from Netherlands, right? Where are
Yes,
you?
from the Netherlands,
Great.
in Almere.
Okay, so
Very
the
close to
stage is
Amsterdam.
yours. If you can introduce yourself in a minute so everyone knows who's talking.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much for your participation. Happy Food Design Day.
Thank you. So my name is Robin Vroom, and I'm the founder of A Wild Choice. And behind me, what I'm going to talk about is the first prototype of a food museum. But before I do that, I really want to thank the Food Design for opportunities, research, and knowledge for organizing this World Food Design Day, and for giving us the time to tell a little bit about what we're doing. It's been really nice to see all the projects from all over the world that are working with food. So to tell you a little bit about the Food Museum, the idea for A Wild Choice for me started about a year ago. I was already working in the food system in a urban garden, and also working on a European level how money and funding was spent for agricultural development on a local level. And what really stood out to me was that food, unlike anything else, really has the ability to connect all sectors of society. So it's about the world economy, about politics and big finance, and the way we produce and consume food has such an immense impact on our living environment. So it's also about ecology and ecosystems and the way we treat the soil life. And on top of that, what makes it really interesting to me is that you can't talk about food without talking about food cultures and our eating traditions and our habits and our emotions. Also, so I think food is a really great tool to talk about big. My internet still working. Yes. So I think food is a very interesting tool to talk about really big, complex issues, but make them really accessible because food is so personal, and everyone has to eat every day. So you can,
Absolutely.
yeah. So for me, it's and I think also because the way we produce food and consume food, the impact is so big that once we find a way to solve our food problems, the rest will kind of follow by itself. Because food is it's such a central part of our societies, even though we don't always see it anymore. So with that in mind, that was kind of the basis for me to start working on food design, and specifically to use design and imagination to show these worlds around food, that we often overlook but are still hiding just behind our plate. So the first prototype that we made is a food museum. It's a pop-up food museum where we show 4 different food themes. The first is the soil house, where you can follow the whole life cycle of food. I work together with a filmmaker, and um, we collected, or we showed from farmer to plate, because we're located next to a theater company, and they have a restaurant where they cook meals with all ingredients from the province that we're in. So we showed per ingredient on the plate who made it and where it comes from. And then the food ingredients go into the soil house, where there's a worm hotel, and the worms, they treat the food scraps, and there are windows on the side, so you can actually see the work of the worms. And then surrounding it, there's all this information about the importance of soil life and why that's the basis of all our life, how that's connected. And then there's a water house, where we talk about the relationship between food and water, and specifically the runoff from agriculture that ends up in the oceans, and there's a lot of algae blooms, and that produces these foam layers in the sea. And there's an artist collective who has made a tasting where you can taste the foam and you can become part of become part of the environment and see what happens in the environment and eat it yourself. Then there's a medicine house. I will show it in a second. It's behind me here, where we have designed also together with another organization here in the Netherlands that already works with this. We have developed a kind of a pharmacy when it's designed for health instead of disease. So there's all these food options that you can discover that are good for either energy or for resilience or for sleep. And then what kind of binds all of that together is the story house. And there it's about our own plate, because all these big topics, of course, before we can talk about those, it's important to think about what is on our plate and why. So in the story house is a very long table with questions about the past, about now, and about the future. And there are plates, and you can write down on your plate the choices that you make every day. And with that, we also work together with storytellers who made stories about food to show the diversity in ways of eating. So all in all, it's been a collaboration between designers, artists, chefs, producers, storytellers, to use all those different sectors of society again, to build a first prototype of a food museum. And I will show you very quickly, give you a tour. I hope the internet works.
Great, that's amazing.
Please let me know if so it says, are you ready?
That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. I was wondering if you were going to take us around, because it really looks nice. And tell me, where are you exactly in the Netherlands? Maybe everyone wants to know.
I'm in Almere Port, Almere is just across the water from Amsterdam. Okay. So it's very close with the train rides. And there's a theater company called Vis-a-Vis. And they had a play about food. They do a really big summer play every year. And this year was about it was a big restaurant where they eat the last wild animals. So they showed kind of the negative side of our food culture. And then I could be on their terrain and show the other side of food, to show the positive side and what already is happening in our food system to make it better.
Super.
So it was a very nice collaboration. I'm going to try to show you. This is the table where you can take a plate. And then there's questions on the table. It is in Dutch. But here, for example, it's about which ingredient or recipe can really make you happy. And can you describe why it gives you that feeling? And here, it's a question about, is there something you used to eat but not anymore? And the other way around, is there something you didn't eat when you were younger but you do now? And then it continues all around with questions on the table. And then at the end, of course, when we cook dinner and we make food, we also have to clean it up. So at the end, there is a washing station where you can, again, clean your own, clean your table for the next person, your plate. And then here is the soil house, where we really wanted to show kind of create this experience of going into the soil, because soil life is so important, but we never really get to see it or experience it. It's this dark and mysterious place. So in the soil house, as you can see, it's a big, yeah, I don't know how to say that, but it's covered with soil and with plant life. And there's all these little signs that give information about the soil. So for example, here it says that in 1 teaspoon of earth, in 1 teaspoon of fertile earth, there can be between 10,000 and 50,000 different organisms. And then I hope you can see it. This is the Worm Hotel. where, let's see if you can see it. You can open, oh, it's very difficult to see on camera, but here you can see the whole root system and the soil life that's in the Worm Hotel, also on the other side. So we really to make it most experimental as possible, that you can really see as much as possible. So that's the soil house. And then on the other side, it's a water house. And here we as Dutch people are very good at changing our living environment. So for example, now we're in Almere, and that used to be the ocean. And we built a whole province of land on top of it. So I'm actually standing on the sea floor that is now land. So here in the water house, we wanted to create an experience where we turn it around and we ask what would happen if we would adapt a little bit more to the environment and to see what the environment is giving us and respond to that. So here there is, if you go inside, there is a tasting station where you can taste the foam that is now so often in the environment because of our use of heavy fertilizers and our industries. So here, Artist Collective, the Onkruideniers, they made a sweet and a salt mixture that you can mix, and then it creates foam, and you can taste it on your hand and then become part of the developments in the environment. So here we've built a little sea station. And then you walk again the other side of the table. Here you can see all the people that helped to create this pop-up. And here we get to the medicine house, the pharmacy. And you can see here we have 3 different tours that you can take. This is for recovery and resilience. And you can see what it is. And it says in Dutch what it contains and in which months it's in season. And so, for example, I can show you one, the strawberry, for example, that contains a lot of vitamin C. So it's very good for your resilience. And then the months of June, July, August, September, it is in season. And then the red pepper contains a lot of iron, so it's very good for energy. And also June, August, September, October. And I think I'm almost at time. So here's the little pharmacy house. And that's a very quick tour. And we've already had a lot of schools here to come take a look. And there's a lot of workshops around these themes, because of course you can go on and on with this wealth of information. And it's been really, really fun to have this first prototype. And we're working very hard to develop more topics around food and to make it movable at the end. So we want to make everything movable so that we can go from location to location and show everyone the wonders and opportunities of food and design. And that's a very quick introduction from my side.
Thank you very, very much. It's amazing. The project is amazing. And we would love to see how this kind of museum spread around the Netherlands and maybe around the world. So it's very interesting for the education of the children and of the society of the adults. So thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you very much for participating. And we hope to be in touch for next and other things. See you soon. Thank you very much.
So much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So